For the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, Nigeria has been having challenges that are beckoning and waiting for answers and solutions. That is why we are bringing to you our program, State of the Nation. And this is going to come up on our flagship program this morning on ITV. I am hereby inviting you to join me, Bola Bakare, your host, on State of the Nation, so that we can hasten the motions that brings national development. It's going to be a regular basis on Tuesdays. Make it a date with me. I'll be there waiting for you, and then we shall discuss Nigeria on an holistic level. Welcome back to your lofty program, State of the Nation, where we hasten the motions for national development. And when it comes to national development, you're part of it too. This morning, we shall delve and dwell on a factor that has been with us since 1972, the National Youth Service Corps. It was a creation of the Gowon administration to foster better unity amongst Nigerians. And years down the line, the aspirations of General Gowon has been waning. It has gotten to such an extent that in May of 2021, men in the house were thinking along the lines of, should we scrap it or should we save it? But let me say the good side about this National Youth Service Corps. When it was created by the then military junta of General Gowon, the basic rule and the wish of them, though in khakis, was to foster unity. And in actual fact, the first set that did it in the 70s really enjoyed it. I have relations, friends that enjoyed that, and at the end of the day, they got married to people that were so far out from their own, what we call geopolitical zones these days. There are a lot of intermarriages that were 1,000 kilometers apart that were fostered by this National Youth Service Corps. Like I said earlier, over the years, the system in itself was on a declining level. What have we done wrong? Where did we miss it? Honestly, we need to sit back and look at it. We need to look at our challenges about this lofty program and think about what to do with it. With me in the studio is my brother, Jonathan Isaac. He is an analyst. He has been around, and I am sure you must have gone through that too. My brother, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, my brother. It's my pleasure.
Good, good. You listen to my opening, and for starters, give us your experience. Let's talk about the good side first before we now delve into what happened lately. Give us your experience over the years, from that 1972 to date. What do you think about it?
I think the Corps has been able to facilitate, just like you said, unity among Nigerians. It has equally briefed them up, to bring them up, the modern challenges of what life is all about. Okay. And that has stepped them up above par when it comes to international relations, because our corps not just go to, corps members don't just go to camps for the fun of camp. They come to equally learn certain things that ordinarily the four corners of the university will not teach them. So it has fostered unity, love, and peace, relative peace, because that has equally helped us to maintain some of the relationships we have. For instance, getting a Fulani friend in the camp has made her to become my friend. So thinking otherwise about my person becomes an issue. I have an experience, and one of my best friends, Aisha, was a Fulani lady. And then we lost contact. We were friends, and whatever happens, even in the discussions, she still let me know. There are times we create opportunities to sit down, chew things together, and also sometimes we even throw parties just to revive the old days and all of that. So
that good feeling you had then.
We used to have. So Sometimes we come around and some of us, then we ask who have not secured a job and who may want to enter such a thing. Some of them who God bless may want to say, okay, can we raise capital for our friends to start something, you know, entrepreneurship and all of that. So where opportunities exist, we build these chains that we can easily relate to each other. And that is one of the things that the Nigerian system is lacking today, because there are no funfair in this light anymore. It's just for the sake of let me just go. Even some don't go.
So just to pick up the certificate and then use it.
Use it for what you want to use. So the need for us to further build up a cycle around it, so that the fun of it will go down to our marrow.
Thank you. What I think is, right now we've been able to break the ice in terms of, okay, we've moved from 1972 down to 2022. But along the line, there has been a lot of challenges towards this lofty program in itself. Because most people now these days tend to say, oh, I don't feel like going. The element of insecurity is there. I don't want to lose my life. I don't want to do this. There are even instances where they were told to, you are on your own. You better be ready to take care of yourself. If you are kidnapped, get your parents to be ready to pay. You see, things like that were demeaning about this lofty program in itself. But thank God for what happened lately. That was brought around by a member of the House from Ondo State, Akin Mayowa, who in his, I call it futurist thinking, that it's high time we have a trust fund for the N.Y.S.C. Honestly, it is a lofty program. What do you think about this? What are your thoughts about this lofty program?
Me as a person, initially when the bills came first reading in the House of Reps, I look at it and I say, what is it for? Well, we already have an existing this and that, and they may have a budget, of course, for the NYSC and all of that. But sometime I came to wonder the idea behind this motion.
That's right.
And a day came, I sat down and did some research about how the COP members in Nigeria compared to other African countries are treated. I came to discover that there are no adequate funds to put facilities together for our existing COP members.
Okay.
And then I look at the bill and some of the context of what the bill is all about. And I came to say that this is one of the perfect legislative framework that we've had since the inception of the Ninth Assembly. Honestly, I must commend the lawmaker, and I equally must commend the leadership of the current N.Y.S.C. board for a brilliant framework of such, for even thinking in that direction. Now that means that they have the thought of Nigerians in their heart, and they equally have the pains of Nigerians now, because our COP members today, after graduation, they just feel like some of them, you see a graduate involving himself or herself in what shouldn't be, in some unethical conduct, because there are no platforms to be engaged. So as I talking about the facilities, because security have to be built around the facilities to ensure their safety even while in camp. You still have some of the part of the bill. You have issues where even COP members are still going to be trained on entrepreneurships and skills acquisitions and thereby all of it. This is to show that when these are done, it will address large percentage of unemployment in this country. And take or give, you should understand that unemployment is a major factor affecting our society or our economic production in this country.
Of course.
So we have, it is not late to get it right. And I must commend the leadership of the National Assemblies for this wonderful idea.
Thank you. At this juncture, you've been able to make us understand that, okay, in most cases, when these our kids or when these our graduates get out of the university, in most cases they are footloose. Nothing to do, no job opportunities, and the rest of it. From my own perspective, over the years I have been with an opinion that says, why is it that you go to school, earn a certificate, maybe a first class, and rather than using that brain you have, going solo, you're waiting for you to be employed at FIRS, CBN, NMPC, and the rest of it, where you're going to go into a system, you will have to begin another learning process. You see, I'm looking at this from one angle. It is a different ball game to say, okay, we're going to make funds available to you for skill acquisitions and the rest of it. But how ready are these our graduates of these days? I'm running this inference because I have had course to interview a few of them. And honestly, which you know, honestly, some of them cannot even string together 4 sentences. Some of them does not even know what is the meaning of JAMB, which is JAM, the exam he took before he got into the university. Some of them don't even know UME or UTME.
Yes.
I am beginning to wonder. We are thinking of a bill now. It's in the offing. But what about our graduates? Are they good to go? Because if you're thinking in terms of putting money together, because this idea is 0.2 of all accruals into the federal account is going to be used for this project. Hypothetically, the bill hasn't been passed. What are we? I don't want it to look like a waste of funds. If you think in terms of the kids we've churned out from these universities, what do you think should be done about these kids we churn out before we now give them the funds, our collective funds to manage, please?
Okay, you see, one of the things about the bill is that you are going to be trained.
Agreed. What I'm saying now is you've been to university.
Yes, you're going to be trained. Although the essence of your education is to have not a maximal idea about everything.
Of course.
Is to have an idea how the driving force of the industry or your profession.
That's right. Your profession in exact words.
So,
yes.
If you now understand this is how it goes, the essence of it is not because you want to get a job. I think mainly why youths are looking for white-collar jobs is because of the policies of government that does not favor these entrepreneurship programs. If government look at that direction, make available funds ready, create an enabling environment for the youth to strive, support them in areas where they need to be supported,
of course,
then there will be no need looking for white-collar jobs. White-collar jobs is in an absence of creativity.
Of course.
White-collar jobs is in absence of creativity. So the essence for your education is to be creative, is to have something. We have so many pharmaceutical students and all of that. How many drugs have we been able to provide for COVID-19? We still import. We have so many doctors, so there are no innovations.
That's right.
And we must create something to meet up with the modern challenges. So it is for that reason that even before the starter package will be given to you, you must undergo certain trainings. This is not just the usual excursions you go in schools. It's to give you the details of how this works
in the industry.
They
take you there physically.
It's for that reason that if you go to China today, you may see a child of just primary 6, but with a whole lot of creativity.
Of course. So
you give that guy just like a 50 million naira, he will be able to create things amazingly that will turn the society around.
They will even export to us here.
And they will not bring all of that to Nigeria. So we look at it that if you want to go into, like I've often said, pure water productions, you need to be told the extent of the depth of the water you
all
want
the
to
basic that is needed.
Everything. So you must have this template in your foreheads, and you now said, okay. So in other words, I will now said, are we up to Nigerian looking at capitalism?
Okay.
Is that what we are trying to do? Without favors or socialism? Where are we up to now? So the graduates need to start thinking in that direction, that the new set of graduates we are going to recruit, or we are going to be turning out to the society, should be trained as experts in different fields.
Good. You see, at that juncture, I remember one basic rule of education. By the time you go through your primary and your secondary, that is education.
Yes.
By the time you get into a tertiary institution, that is specialization.
Specialization.
Good. Now we are looking at graduates that have specialized, in quote, specialized in a specific course. Fair enough, we are bringing them out now. We want to train them and retrain them in a specific vocation that tallies with their specializations. I am still in doubt somewhere that the man who went to school and just sailed through, either by paying his lecturers for points or for whatever, for good grades and good marks, do you think he will be able to come out and then be able to absorb that training, bearing in mind one thing? A sizable percentage of them, like you said earlier, which I have experienced too, they don't even go to the camps at all. They believe all they want at the end of the day is, in Nigeria, you need to attach an N.Y.S.C certificate to your degree certificate.
Yes.
So they now think, if anybody wants my, what they call alawi, my allowance, keep my allowance, give it to somebody else, just give me this. I'm not a doomsayer. I'm not a negative thinker. I'm a positive thinker. Are you not thinking they will do the same thing to these skill acquisitions? Because some of them, I talked to one of them who told me, I've been to school, I'm not ready for anything. He said, either you give me a job or you leave me alone. Do you think most of them will be able to ride along in this training and retraining? We are not even talking about how long it's going to take. Do you think they will be ready to do that?
I have spoken to a few COP members.
Okay.
In my previous interview, with respect to the subject matter,
okay,
I have consulted widely with most of these COP members.
That's good.
And I have a platform, as I spoke with you, created sometime last 2 weeks. Okay. I have about like up to 100 or thereabouts COP members.
Okay.
And every day I see their opinions on this. And some of them have come up to say, look, the reason why I'm in support of this bill is, if it does not benefit me today, it will benefit other people. It will benefit my children.
Of course.
It will benefit society.
Of course.
And I come from I come from a family where we do business. Okay. And I'm very sure that if I go in line with my business, and equally if I present a proposal thereafter, and this, if considered, my business will grow. You understand?
Of course.
In as much that I will accept that we have lazy individuals,
yeah, of course,
that wouldn't want to do anything. It is those that want to actually don't want to do anything that seek for white collar jobs easily. People that go for white collar jobs most times are not awarded the best. Are you in me? They are not creative enough. A creative thinker, someone who put things in order, we want to at least create something. Innovations is what is driving the world today. So we will have to bet the youth that is going to be able to, mitigate some of the challenges we are having today.
Okay.
But I think, yes, I will accept with you that most of them will not be able to accept this offer. But I know that the government is not foolish. The government is wise and 2 steps ahead of them. Before they are going to give you or even assess you for anything for loan, there must be structures and grant to be assessed before even disbursement is given.
No, in most cases, you bring up your business plan, they will read into it by professionals and then be able to go ahead from that. We've been able to lay down the facts, we've been able to lay down the positives that it is important for this to fly, because it will encourage skill acquisition, it will create jobs for our graduates, it will make them, in quote, go solo on their own and the rest of it. But there are a few others too that I'm looking at, because one of the good rules of life is for us to look at the challenges and find solutions to them.
Let me run you an inference about some loan schemes we've had before. Let me give you an inference about the loan scheme that was handed out by N.Y.S.C, the loan scheme that was given out by CBN, borrowers, and the rest of them. In most cases, you will find out that maybe 20, 30, even 40% of the beneficiaries of these loans, they take the loans and take a walk.
It is a typical Nigerian thing. So I'm not saying, I'm not portioning blame to anybody here. It is a typical Nigerian thing. Don't you think we're going to experience something like this in the case of these graduates?
Well, I don't think so. You mentioned CBN. In the case of CBN, I wouldn't want to mention certain things, but let me just restrict it to the discussion.
No, say the truth. Say it as it is. Say the truth.
They shouldn't, by any means, give out loans. Their job is to supervise. So when you give and you supervise at the same time, there will be problems. So one should give, one should supervise. It's from the supervision that the problems comes from. And then...
But you've already trained them. They should be able to flow seamlessly when you are overseeing them, when you are supervising them, because you train them.
Well, the way I see that works, it's not going to be the same way the NYSC Trust Fund will work. Okay. Because these are COP members, you have already collated their data. You already know. They are
not people you don't know. You know them a little bit.
Them very well.
You know them.
Down to the root. So you don't just give money to ghosts. But in the case of loans coming out from CBN, you will be amazed that you must have disbursed money to even ghosts. That is
so just a name. You must have disbursed just a name.
The one you don't know them, they are ghosts. So you see, I believe that this is a different avenue.
Okay.
And this is something that I believe that even the leadership of the NYSC have put a lot of things into considerations. Thoughts have come in an issues like this. What should we do? So they have asked themselves some of the why questions, and they have asked themselves some of these questions that people may want to come up with. And I'm sure that during the public hearings, most of these things will come up, and then of course you're going to see a smooth response to some of these issues. I am confident in their leadership to be able to manage these issues. I'm not one day when I look at
you're a positive thinker.
Yeah, when I look at the pros and the benefit of these bills when considered and passed into law, I have nothing to say but to say, God, I thank you. For we have people thinking in this direction.
Okay. Let me bring in another factor into it. Now we are looking at a situation where our graduates, we are going to train them in skill acquisition, not just the classroom thing. Let them have a hands-on experience. We're going to give them that. Another school of thought is saying one thing, that why is it, rather than taking them through all those minor drills of learning how to march and the rest of them, why don't we engage some of them who are interested in going into the military and the paramilitary? Because on a regular basis, we keep saying, I have found situations where they say they want to do recruitments and they tell you graduates need not apply because they are looking out for constables. There are people that are primary, whatever, secondary school certificate and the rest of it are the ones they want. But it's high time they should be thinking about the officer corps that are going to run these constables. Shouldn't they infuse that element of whoever is interested, because you have a concise data on them, whoever is interested in going to the military or paramilitary should have been taken at that inception so that his own training, you don't want training to go and make soap when he is interested in joining the military. What do you think along those lines?
Well, I think the suggestion is not totally out of point. But with the modern situations of all the process of our recruitment into forces, it makes it very impossible for this to apply. It is before now, when somebody is coming out of service and have to be awarded certain things, some will say they want to join the forces. So it's like he's considered the hero and he's considered first before others. But today we have so many competitions going around, how to apply, sometime maybe when they are graduating, it's not time for recruitment and into these forces. So give and take.
There are disparities along the line.
So it may not add up. Telling the person you have to go and stay at home, I'm going to send your list to the generals, or during times for recruitment, teams like this will come. You now create room for another fraud system, for fraud to come in. So some of them who may want to take the military job, already they are doing it. And they are doing it with what they call community policing. The COP members have been involved in that. They have been giving intelligence to some of these conventional security agencies
where
they served, and say, look, this is what we are saying. Some of them, even in the camps, are even giving this one of the primary intelligence, or sorry, giving this primary assignment as intelligence officers. They meet up with these guys in the camp, and they say, you are the CIO of this, you are the CIA of this. So
okay, they learn how to collect
intels. And then they have been doing that even when they go home. Because of that drilling given to them from the camp already, it becomes easier for them to, adapt to the society. Some persons are even, after the days of their service here, they are transferred to Enugu. Someone in Abuja is transferred to Anambra to go and serve and all of that. And they adapt to the society easily because of that little intelligence. They have been able to gather all this wine and all of that. So they do what they call community policing. And of course, you should know that the community policing is the community versus the police.
It is the grassroots of...
So they do that already. So it's just for government to compensate them with this NYSC trust fund bill to ensure that they have access to funds even when they need, after the service year.
Thank you. Yes. The idea here is, it is a known fact really that the National Assembly is overwhelmingly in support of this bill. That is one factor. Hypothetically, the National Assembly, from the look of it, will pass this bill. But the next level is the executive. What do you think will happen if this bill gets to the executive for ascension? In other words, what do you think? Do you think Mr. President will assent to it without blinking?
I want to wholeheartedly say that the Mr. President that we have, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, in recent times have commended Nigerian youths. And I want to say that this is going to be one of the legacy of President Muhammadu Buhari administration when this bill is passed into law. You see, the days of increment of the allowance of our youths has come. The days of considering the NYSC Trust Fund to ensure that facilities are put in place for our corps members has come. Mr. President will graciously sign the NYSC Trust Fund immediately he gets to stable. In fact, he's already waiting for the bill to come.
Mr. President is listening to you.
He's listening. I know he's listening. He's listening to you. That is why I know he's going to sign the bill. Yes.
Thank you
so much.
And to you, our viewers out there, we've been able to table a factor that is going to mitigate that element of unemployment, that element of our kids and graduates getting out of school without anything to do with this NYSC Trust Fund. It is still a baby in the making, but there is overwhelming support for it in the National Assembly. But the idea now, what we are saying here to our youth that are still in the universities is, for God's sake, try and sit down and learn some more. Cultism is out there, it's rife. Some of you don't go to school at all, you pay for it. It's high time you learn, because in most cases, that education that you get is the only thing you have. If you think your father is a billionaire and then you can rely on the money, what happens if the money disappears? Because like they say, easy come, easy go. And your brain, there is nothing right there in your brain. There is no skill, there is no acquisition in your brain for you to fall back on and get things done. My advice to you is, while you are in your tertiary institution, it's high time you learn something. Not for your dad, not for your mom, for yourself. Like my dad used to say, my money is not your money. Your money is in your head. I'll tell you that too. Whatever it is that you have in your head is what you are going to carry on in life. And from my brother in the studio, Mr. Jonathan Isaac, who has been able to tell us that this is a good to go bill in the National Assembly, and he's even saying it to Mr. President that Mr. President will see it and he will sign without blinking. I would like to tell you thank you for coming on to this program.
Thank you, my brother. It's my pleasure. Thank you.